Bright lights, big stars, and home to some of the greatest entertainment in all of the world. Hi everyone, and welcome to the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada for the 7th annual Coaches vs. Cancer Golf Classic. I'm Jessica Cootie, and some of the most successful and respected coaches in all of college basketball are coming together to help raise money and awareness for the fight against cancer, which we all have been affected by in one way or another. Tonight, the event gets kicked off with Party for a Purpose, and while the American Cancer Society is in its 21st year with the Coaches vs. Cancer program, none of this would be possible without the efforts of Norm Stewart.
Coach Stewart was one of the great coaches in the game's history, and the job he did at Missouri, I've always looked upon him as a real tough character.
They didn't call him Stormin' Norman for no reason.
He was an unbelievable competitor on the court. He was a great athlete himself.
Tremendous player, both baseball and basketball. Hated in Kansas and loved in Missouri, okay? So that's the way it's supposed to be. If they love you, you're probably not very good. When you go to your arch rivals, you know, you're not causing enough grief.
I think the sort of the Midwestern gruff exterior that he showed on the sidelines doesn't reflect the kind of heart he has.
You know, he's somebody who's been around the basketball landscape for a long, long time and mentored a lot of young coaches.
And then Norm, once he had the battle with cancer, he's the person responsible for starting Coaches vs. Cancer. When he came to our board meeting, and this was after he had suffered and was dealing with cancer himself, you know, he was one of us.
He's a tenacious guy, he's a battler, and when he decided to take on cancer, he did it with everything that he had.
There was something about his passion, there was something about his humor, and there was something that made me feel he was talking directly to me.
It was his thought and idea that brought all of us together. He's a man's man, a coach's coach, respected by everybody.
And for him to have put this together, I know it's very gratifying for him, but he's not one that would step out front and take that credit. But he deserves the lion's share of the credit.
Big thing with Norm is he never took himself seriously.
He always used to tell the story about how people said he could never win the big one. You know, the man won like 700 games, and he said, no, I guess I couldn't win the big one, but I won an awful lot of little ones, didn't I?
Norm's funny all the time. In other words, he looks at life, you know, in ways which makes him endearing to a lot of people.
When we started our gala in Philadelphia, the first person that we wanted to honor was Norm Stewart. And when Norm came in, he took over the room. There's 6 Division I coaches in Philadelphia, but at our event, everybody in that room wanted to meet, touch, take a picture with Norm Stewart, and he hadn't been coaching for a while.
Norm has played such a huge role in this program. I mean, he founded it. He got it rolling.
He's as fine a human being as life has ever seen.
Anyone he impacts, anyone he talks to, anyone he comes into contact with, leaves being a better person.
And I'm so glad he battled cancer, beat cancer.
But what he did that will live on is this Coaches vs. Cancer.
He's a wonderful person who can't get enough credit for what he's done for this program.
And now we're joined by head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, who none of this would be possible without. Well, coach, first of all, Norm Stewart. Possibly Coaches vs. Cancer might not exist without him. How much of an inspiration has he been to you and some of the other coaches that are here supporting this event tonight?
Norm's inspired all of us, and his fight against cancer started all of this. NBC selected Coaches vs. Cancer as their signature charity of choice, and it all started with Norm's fight. And Norm's doing a fantastic job and still right in the middle of the Coaches vs. Cancer.
And 7 years ago, you and your staff decided to start this event. What went into it? Why did you guys decide that you wanted to do this event?
Coaches all over the country have really come together to fight cancer. Since 1990, since it happened with Norm, over $80 million has been raised by Coaches versus Cancer. And whether it's a bowl-a-thon or a breakfast or a luncheon or a golf event, hundreds of coaches are doing a great job, and we just appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that.
I'm just happy to be a part of this. As you can tell, I've worn sleeves, so it's a big deal, all right?
Since its inception, the Coaches vs. Cancer Las Vegas Golf Classic has netted over $1.3 million to help create a world with less cancer and more birthdays.
Most importantly, too, is Scott Sabella and MGM. 2 years ago, we went to Scott, said, Scott, we've got a little thing going here. We're doing a nice job. We're raising a little bit of money, but we've got to raise our revenue. We've got to cut our overhead. And Scott says, what do you need? I said, well, we need a bunch of rooms. he says, how many you need? I said, about 250. I said, we just need a little bit of a rate. He said, you can have them for free. So we got rooms for free. I said, next year, I said, Scott, we need a couple receptions. He says, what do you need? I said, well, we need something like this that's happening tonight. He said, we'll do that too. So about $450,000 later, we're able to contribute that much more to Coaches vs. Cancer.
I've known Coach Cougar for a long time, and this man is a special man. He won't take the credit for what he does, and for some reason, it's easy to get all you guys to come to Las Vegas. I can't figure it out, but we know you do a lot when you're back home for your local events when it comes to fundraising, but we appreciate you coming to Las Vegas, and the MGM is so proud to be part of this. Coaches vs. Cancer, it's so important to us. We raise a lot of money for a lot of good things, but most importantly, it couldn't be better without you. So thanks to the coaches coming out. Thanks for all the participants. The MGM is going to be part of this for a long, long time.
We're here to find a cure for cancer, to keep giving these folks some money so they can do that. And we can't thank you enough for giving your time and coming out and doing that. And I'm very thankful to be a part of it as well. So thanks, everybody. Have a good time, and let's have some fun tomorrow and get her done.
Coming up after this, we'll move inside the MGM Grand, where we will catch up with some more legendary coaches that are here for the event. But right after this, we'll see just how far the American Cancer Society has come over the past 100 years.
Your American Cancer Society has been saving lives for 100 years, and we've seen quite a few changes in our time. What was the world like when we started? A century ago, the Dodgers were still in Brooklyn. You could get a car in any color you wanted, so long as it was black. There were no PCs, no smartphones, no internet, no vaccine for polio, and not much hope for someone diagnosed with cancer. Back then, only 1 in 10 lives could be saved from the disease. Cancer was a word spoken of only in whispers. But in 1913, we came together to change all that. We built an army of volunteers who spread the word in communities across the country. By the 1930s, our efforts were showing real results. More lives were being saved. But we knew more could be done. So, we enlisted the aid of prominent scientists and helped pioneer the field of cancer research. Celebrities added their voices to the cause, marshaling awareness and resources for further research. Our work led to major medical advances like chemotherapy, and we promoted the Pap test and mammography as important screening tools, helping save millions of lives in the process. When lung cancer deaths skyrocketed in the 1950s, we were there, demonstrating irrefutably the link between smoking and cancer. We supported scores of promising young researchers with exciting new ideas. The result? Groundbreaking advances that changed medicine forever. In fact, 46 of our funded researchers have gone on to win Nobel Prizes for their work. In 1971, we advocated for the passage of the National Cancer Act that brought federal focus and funding to the fight against cancer. With greater resources and breakthrough treatments saving more lives, we opened a new front in the battle by providing first-of-their-kind support programs and services for patients and survivors. And with the help of our volunteers, we created the world's largest movement to end cancer, with unique fundraising programs and events that empower and engage communities worldwide to finish the fight. Today, 2 out of 3 people diagnosed with cancer are surviving, and we celebrate 400 more birthdays every day that would have otherwise been lost. Yes, the world has changed quite a bit since we started, and no one has done more in the fight against cancer than we have. But there's still more to do, and we need your help. So make your voice heard. Help finish the fight at cancer.org/fight.
Well, what great work the American Cancer Society has done over the past 100 years, and coaches from literally all across the country coming together to support the fight against cancer, including Craig Smith from South Dakota, Dana Altman from Oregon, Jim Herrick from UCLA, Ron McHenry from Washburn, Frank Martin from South Carolina, just to name a few. Again, I'm joined by Oklahoma head basketball coach Lon Kruger. Directly to my left, head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, Tubby Smith, and a man who's directly been affected by this great event, Peter Mendock, who just recently found out that he had been diagnosed with cancer. And Peter, I want to start with you. You've been involved with this event from the very beginning, but why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
Well, I feel very strongly about trying to raise money for cancer research, and dramatic strides have been made in cancer research in recent years. This event, quarterbacked by this fine individual here, Lon Kruger, over the last 5 years, I think it's been, Lon, we've raised a fair amount of money for American Cancer Society. Point is, I was diagnosed with esophageal cancer last August, and underwent 7 months of treatment, culminating in an esophagectomy, which removes the esophagus 11 weeks ago. So for those out there who have esophageal cancer as a result of gastroreflex disease, or GERD, know that there's hope, and that 11 weeks out, while it's not easy adjusting to new eating and drinking standards, it's possible. And my confident, highly competent surgeon at MD Anderson in Houston thought that I had a 60% chance of a cure. So I'm very pleased with that, very encouraged, and I think it's because of research dollars, directly as a result of the efforts of individuals like this and my buddies sitting over there that help with finding cures for this dreaded disease. So.
And Coach Peter's been coming to this event since you started it, good friend of yours. What's it like having someone who is directly affected by cancer participating this year?
Well, it's great from that standpoint that Peter can come and play. You know, he's been a good friend of the activity, the event. This will be the 7th annual, actually, and that's why we're doing it. That's why we're, you know, Peter was involved before he knew he had cancer, and now his perspective is totally changed. But coaches throughout the country have done a fantastic job. Since 1990, in ABC, Coaches versus Cancer is its charity organization and of choice, and coaches all over the country do a fantastic job, and many coaches have been involved here through the 7 years, and will do a great job. And again, we're very proud. It's a nasty disease, like Peter said, and everyone's been touched by cancer, and anything we as coaches can do to help give back, certainly it's our pleasure to do that.
And Coach Smith, how important is it for you guys as coaches to come together and do these kinds of events to help raise awareness, raise money for the cause?
Well, first I want to thank everybody that's involved with this Las Vegas Golf Classic to help raise money, and certainly Lon Kruger has been one of the leading proponents of for the Coaches versus Cancer, and us being able to be here to make people aware, to share with these stories like Peter's and others that have to deal with cancer. And I've dealt with it on a personal level myself, having gone through prostate cancer 3 years ago and having lost a sister to throat cancer. So, you know, it's close to all of us, but it's important that we really, and I encourage everyone, especially our coaches in ABC and around the country, that are doing such a fantastic job in helping raise money and to fight this dreaded disease. So we're just excited to be a part of it, and it's a real honor to be celebrating the 100th year of the American Cancer Society.
Peter, you're a big sports fan. What's it like seeing guys like Coach Smith, Coach Kruger, so passionate and care so much about such an important cause?
Well, I think that it helps American Cancer Society, and it helps to grow this event, to have top-notch individuals like Coach Kruger and Coach Smith involved. And you know, I think that's why it's grown. You know, for example, it's probably doubled in size in terms of the number of players and the amount of money raised, Coaches versus Cancer, just in the 5 years I've been involved. So there's no question the high-profile hotshot coaches is huge. I got Tim Miles to come. You know, everybody knows Tim Miles, a character. He used to be at Colorado State. Now he's at Nebraska. And he got a couple groups to come. So it's just flourished.
So teammates this week, but what is it like coaching against each other? We got to hear. What is it like you guys battling out now in the Big 12?
Well, Well, because Lon Kruger is such a gentleman, you know, he knows how to soothe you after he beats you. And so, so I have a lot of respect for what he's accomplished, wherever he's been, whether it was Florida, Kansas State, you name Pan American, everywhere he's ever been, and now at Oklahoma and in UNLV, he's been successful wherever he's been. That's why when you partner with someone like Coach Kruger and other coaches, they're winners, and we're going to fight to the very end to get this, to eradicate cancer.
We've gone back a long way. When I was at Florida, Tubby was at Georgia, Kentucky, then we're at UNLV, and he's at Minnesota, and Tubby's been very kind. We haven't beaten him very many times,
Yes,
but we've had good battles. And one thing we know when we line up against his teams, they're going to be very well prepared and very well organized. And we tell our guys, be ready for a fight, because if you're not, they're going to kick our tails, and that's what his clubs do. But it's fun, it's healthy. We fight like crazy for our clubs, for our players, but with great respect for the people on the other bench. And I think coaches throughout the profession are pretty common in that feeling. There aren't many personal feelings involved. It's just that we're fighting for our kids and we're fighting for our universities, but still, it's always fun.
Well, thank you guys so very much for your time and for your efforts in this cause. And coming up next, we've got more from some of the great coaches involved in this great cause. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. And we welcome you back to the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, what a great cause you guys have all come together for. I want to start off by, kind of asking what made you guys want to come and be a part of this great event. We'll start with you, Larry.
Well, 41 years ago, just last month, we lost my mom to Hodgkin's disease, and I just find it really fitting that there's a symbolism. I think, number one, I'm a coach, so Coaches versus Cancer, and then thinking about what she went through with that disease for about 3 years, being terminally ill, and a really low life expectancy at that time, and my hope is now we're 41 years later, and that's what this is all about, is dollars for research. And my hope is that I can have some small part in raising some money, raising some awareness, and hopefully when people are diagnosed, and as they are now with Hodgkin's, there's far greater chance for a much more healthy life. So it touches me pretty close to home, and happy to get out into the coaching circles and share stories with guys and have a lot of fun with alumni and people in our program. So it's an absolute no-brainer and a win-win for me.
And for you, John?
Well, I'm become very good friends with Lon Kruger over the years, the former UNLV coach, the Oklahoma coach, and I think all of the coaches, we're always looking for opportunities like this at different times of the year to do what we can for charities, and of course, Coaches versus Cancer has become huge. There's so much great involvement from all the coaches at all levels now, not just the highest levels, not just the places like Utah, Michigan, Bowling Green. There are high schools that are doing this. So I just wanted to be a part of it. I have a little history in my family as well, and of cancer, and so you want to help in any way you can.
Chris?
This is my first experience with a Coaches versus Cancer event, and the reason I'm here is Ed Thomas, who has been coming to this event for years, is a good friend of Coach Kruger's, and he works for Bombardier Learjet. And when I got the position at Bowling Green State University, he called Coach Kruger. Then Coach Kruger called me, and like I said, I'd never been directly involved with these events, but I had been watched them from afar with my previous boss, Greg Marshall. Had been involved in some Coaches versus Cancer events, so knew what they were doing and what kind of awareness and dollars that they were raising, and was really excited when I got the call from Coach to come out here and be a part of this.
Larry, you mentioned the funding since the beginning of Coaches versus Cancer, the program. You guys have raised over $80 million. How proud does that make you to be a part of a group of coaches that want to make such a difference?
Well, it's phenomenal. We have a great opportunity to coach young men. A lot of pressure, win games, but this is one of those opponents, where we've got to get our handle on it, and I truly believe that we get to the point, hopefully in the near future, where when you hear the word cancer, rather than your heart dropping and thinking that it's a dire time, let's hope that we can get our handle on it have people enjoying a healthy life. And it's through this research, you know, coaches. I mean, I remember Coach Valvano was probably one of the peak times of my life watching NC State win the championship, and then watching what he went through, and he was so inspirational to me. And I just find it a blessing to be a coach at a major university and be able to be one of the coaches versus cancer and be a part of it.
And John, you guys go head to head on the court, battle it out, have some intense battles. What's it like coming together for a cause like this?
It's really a lot of fun. I mean, we see all kinds of people that you don't get to see socially like this. It's always business, or you're recruiting, and he may be recruiting the same guy you are. And this is one time I think everybody is going to golf a little bit, and some of us are not very good golfers, but we'll enjoy the day. But it's great, you know, just getting to be with these two guys. I've never had more than 5 said hello. So this is really important that we get to meet other people, all for such a great cause. It really works out well into people's schedule, and we'll have a good time over this weekend.
Chris, what's it going to be like for you guys to be teammates with these guys for a week?
Well, for me, it's, you know, being a first-time head Division I coach, and to be able to sit with Coach Beeline and talk to Coach Kristoviak, you know, prior to coming in here. It's humbling, you know, to be around these guys that have won at such a high level, and obviously I've never called a timeout. So I know why we're here, and you know, I'm so happy to be a part of it. But at the same time, for me personally, you know, to be able to sit and visit with these great coaches is an incredible opportunity for me.
Now, you were a 7-year assistant at Wichita State University, part of that perfect regular season. What was that like, being a part of that first undefeated team to go into the tournament since 1991? How hard was it?
It was awesome. It was one of those pinch me rides, you know, with the Final Four and then the undefeated season. And I don't think any coach in America could honestly say, yeah, we're going to go to the Final Four and then we're going to follow it up with an undefeated regular season. That's just unheard of. And certainly we didn't talk about it either. It's just one of those things that we had an unbelievable group of young men that believed in one another and were self-motivated and were tough. And, you know, we got to the point where the number kept creeping up, and people would ask us all the time, you know, don't you think you need to lose? And we were all like, heck no. You know, we don't want to lose now. We could taste it, you know. And we had tough guys, both mentally and physically, and we knew they could handle the pressure. And it was fun. I mean, it got a little harried there in the end when you knew everybody, you know, all year long you're taking everyone's best shot, but you know, in the end everybody wants to be the team that beats you, and you could feel it and sense it. But you know, they can never take that away from that group and that organization, and certainly proud to be a part of it.
Well, you guys mentioned here to play a little bit of golf. How would you evaluate your golf game? Who's going to win? Who would be the best golfer in this group here?
Not me.
This will be the first time I will have played since last year. So no, I'm not. They asked me my handicap, and I always have to say, well, just what if I usually hit 100? What would that be? And that's how I established that. Yeah, so it would be the maximum.
And my goal is just to not hurt anybody. That's why I'm here.
But you're so competitive. Are we going to see some competitiveness out there on the course?
Yeah, I think that everyone still competes. We enjoy this, but I think a lot of it, there's some camaraderie here, and then we're meeting, we're golfing with people who really who are out here giving a lot of their donating a lot of time and money to this great cause. So that camaraderie of meeting new friends. Yeah, I remember doing one of these in Charlotte 20 years ago. Jim Gambrell is his name. He still emails me all the time from being in a tournament with him. So it's good to meet new people, not necessarily before or after a game.
Thank you guys so very much for sitting down with us. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for your efforts against this fight against cancer. We really appreciate it. And coming up next, we're going to hear more about the impact that the American Cancer Society is making, so stick around. Welcome back to Las Vegas. We have now moved poolside here at the MGM Grand. In 2014, 2 out of 3 people who are diagnosed with cancer will survive. The goal of the American Cancer Society is to make that 3 out of 3. The ACS has raised over $4 billion for cancer research, and we want to introduce you to 2 people who have been directly impacted by that.
I've got a wonderful friend from Ethiopia. And he said, In Ethiopia, there's an old proverb that the taller the mountain, the more you look at your feet as you climb it. The bigger the obstacle, the more you look at your feet. And you take a step, and you celebrate the step as a victory. And then he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, guess what, my friend? As you step and as you celebrate, and your head is down, eventually you see the other side of that mountain. I'm Grant Vosberg. My wife is Robin Vosberg, and this is our cancer journey. Cindy Bishop in our little hometown in North Carolina always had the best birthday parties. And 1961, it was her first grade birthday party, and there was a little girl sitting in a redwood cabin picnic shelter in the window. And I did not know who she was, but I just remember noticing her. We grew up together in school, and I actually eventually started dating in high school. When I met her parents, I started telling them about this birthday party, and I described the dress she was wearing, white with blue frills. Her mother proceeded to disappear and go in the basement, and she came up with the little party dress. You know, I guess 50-some years later, it's somewhat meant to have been. A month shy of her 40th birthday, she had begun to have a great amount of pain in her abdomen, and while she was in an examination room, all the gauges on all the monitors she was on began to spike, and her colon literally burst because the tumor had blocked passage in her colon. The doctor who was on call, I can remember when he stepped outside of the exam room with me and said, do you know if Robin has any history of cancer? I've told folks that probably the most amazing week of our marriage was when she was in intensive care. We found out really quickly that we were the right two people to be in this situation together. Robin was a very quiet, driven cancer patient. She was having to recover from a life-saving surgery while she was going through chemotherapy. She has not had any instance of cancer since her treatments ended, and I think she probably had about 2 years worth, and no semblance of any kind of recurrence. Relay for Life had a profound impact from me from day one. I have been a volunteer for about 17 years. I began first to see the impact that it had on my wife. For her to walk that first lap of Relay for Life as a cancer survivor was something of a statement that I just realized that we were having an impact in several levels. We were raising money, obviously, to fight the fight and do all the wonderful activities. But at the same level, we were really giving hope to people whom I now knew from my wife's experience had great doubts about what their future would hold. I had begun to experience some things in May of 2012, and I knew that perhaps something was a bit amiss. And we had a colonoscopy on June 1st, 2012. The doctor was a very good friend of ours, and I knew the moment he walked in after the exam, I could sense we had a new battle. He was very honest about what I was going to be facing, because it was almost exactly the protocol that Robin had faced. I feel very optimistic about what we're looking at, and unfortunately they say that this looks like this may be a cancer that will just keep making the rounds. It's pretty resilient. I've told a lot of people that maybe the greatest gift that I've gotten from Relay for Life is that it's taken away the fear of cancer from me. And I didn't know that, obviously, until I was diagnosed well into my volunteer years, but it truly has. I understand what the disease is and where the advances are, and it's taken away the fear. Now we're in a situation where we're raising millions of dollars each year for research, and we have the opportunity in Relay and throughout our work with the American Cancer Society to fund future discoveries, so that maybe there's a little 6-year-old boy at a birthday party who is about to be stopped dead in his tracks by seeing a little girl in a white dress with blue frills. And They've already had their lives saved by the work that we're doing in Relay for Life. If we really finish the fight, there's an opportunity that those two little children will grow up really never knowing there was a real life-threatening disease called cancer.
Well, just so many people directly affected by cancer and impacted by the American Cancer Society. I'm now joined by Lynn McMaster with ACS. Lynn, tell us a little bit about the mission of the American Cancer Society.
Thanks, Jess. So the mission of the American Cancer Society is fundamentally to end cancer and to bring cancer to a manageable chronic disease, hopefully in our lifetime, and then obviously also to end the suffering that goes along with cancer. And we do that by doing prevention, care, cure, and advocacy. And those 4 key pillars are important to end cancer in our lifetime.
You guys have raised so much money for cancer research. Tell us a little bit about where the money goes to, what kind of impact that it makes.
Well, thank you. It's not only cancer research that's part of it, and that's really about the cure for cancer, but we do prevention, so prevention is just as important. So we are, from a prevention standpoint, ensuring that people stop smoking. It's about obesity and ending the obesity issue because that causes about 1/3 of all cancers. And then it's getting the appropriate screening for colon cancer, breast cancer. So we work in the prevention space. We also work in the care space. So there's many lives saved. You have to ensure that people get to their appointments. You have to ensure that people in late-stage cancer are able to get to the housing that they need in those major cities in order to get that cancer treatment. And that's what we do. So part of the money goes to both prevention, care, and then cure is the cancer research that we do, which has led to 50 of the top cures over the past 25 years. We've invested more in research in order to really help end the disease. And then advocacy has saved about 1/3 of all lives, and that really has to do with making sure that we have the right environments, smoke-free environments, dealing with palliative care, how people deal with their illnesses.
And the support for the fight against cancer doesn't stop after tonight. There's still golf to be played. Up next, we'll head to the links where these coaches will try their hand at a different sport. Stick with us. Welcome back to Vegas as it's golf day here at the Coaches vs. Cancer Golf Classic. The golfers have taken the course here at the world-famous Shadow Creek Golf Course and very excited to play this course, but also very excited to support such a great cause.
Well, the 2 courses that the players will play this week, Shadow Creek, I mean, it's world-renowned, very, very private, very exclusive. And Southern Highlands, which is, you know, it's one of the best country clubs in the country. I mean, it's fabulous. Both golf courses are in great shape. What great venues for this wonderful event.
Yeah, Shadow Creek Special is one of the unique places in the country because not many people get the opportunity to play it. And that's where Scott Sabella, MGM, came to us a few years ago and said, hey, you know, we don't really do this for groups outside, but for the cause we'll do it. And people really enjoy the opportunity.
Coach and I started talking about this a few years ago and how we started the program, and our goal was how can we make this better and better every single year, and we've done a pretty good job at that. And he's just so committed, and he cares so much about this charity that it just made so much sense that we could partner up and make this a better event every year.
Well, like almost everyone here, cancer's touched our family quite a bit, so it's important for that reason. Coach Kruger's a good friend, been a mentor for a long time, and when he started this 7 years ago, gave me a call, and so I've been here every year since. But it's a great tournament, very well run, and so the 2 teams from Oregon, I'm sure will have a good time, and we're just glad to be here and helping out.
I don't see Steve Alford here this year. He didn't make the cut, didn't get invited back.
Well, a lot of people look up to the coaches, you know, and they do a great job, and Coach Kruger leads the way with that charge, and you know, just you have a lot of respect for those guys, and anything we can do as business, you know, people in the community just to help out that cause in a small way that we do, and they donate their time and efforts, and that's phenomenal. I mean, that's why we're here, really.
I think it's great. I think everybody's here because they realize that we're trying to fight a very, very significant battle, trying to beat an extremely difficult opponent in cancer. But every day that we raise a little more money, we make some scientists and medical people somewhere that comes closer to getting a cure. And Also, you bring us some more awareness to it and get more people involved. And then Lon Kruger does such a great job, and he's one of the true gentlemen in our coaching profession. And so it's two calls. We come out here because Lon asked us to, and then the other thing is the greatest cause we can have.
I remember when he called me 7 years ago, and because of his ties at Kansas State and me being at Kansas State, it was a natural fit. And I was the only coach here that wasn't a part of the old Mountain West when it first started. And to think that 7 years later it's as big as it's gotten, it's a credit to Coach and that group of people that he's got around him, that they've put on such a wonderful event that's become so popular. And the other part of it is, it's to fight cancer. And all us coaches, we're united, and we're going to keep chasing cancer until we figure out a way to get it.
Lots of fun being had at both Shadow Creek Golf Course and here at Southern Highlands Country Club. And we've got more golf to show you. When we return, we'll bring you the Coaches versus Cancer Par 3 Shootout. We'll be back to Vegas after this. Welcome back to the Coaches versus Cancer Golf Classic in Las Vegas, Nevada. The scorecards have been turned in, and it is now time for the Par 3 Shootout. Throughout the day, shots were measured on hole number 12 here at Southern Highlands Country Club. The 12 golfers closest to the pin were selected to compete in the shootout. Those 12 golfers were given 2 shots. From there, the field was narrowed down to 6, and after that, the winner was chosen. Here are some of the highlights, accompanied by Nebraska head coach Tim Miles wearing a mic for us.
Are you in this?
Here? No, but our partner Bill is. You want a little side action here?
If I bet money, which I wouldn't because the NCAA. I'm live mic here, guys. Santa? Santa?
Hold on. All right, on the green.
Yeah, you can. Like, get in the hole. As soon as I hit it. Nice shot. So that's the angle, right?
Good.
Where's Lon Kruger at? There you are. Why aren't you?
Coach Kruger, he wants you to come over here and watch.
Yep, he's right here.
Oh.
Augusta.
Hit the green and you're in.
That's all I gotta do is hit the green.
This looks pretty good.
I'm out.
Debbie, we do not need a measurement.
Just one. Hey, I'm just here showing off.
Good shot. That's going to be tough to beat. Good shot, Justin. Mr. Mamula.
Ah, I tugged it.
Good kick. Oh! Sit down! Sit down!
What? Would I hit a sprinkler head?
Well, that concludes the golf portion of the Coaches versus Cancer Classic. Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with exclusive performances from Toby Keith and Larry the Cable Guy. We'll be right back right after this. And we welcome you back to the Coaches vs. Cancer Classic here at the MGM Grand. It isn't just college basketball coaches wanting to give back to this great cause. Two of the biggest names in their respective fields wanted to lend a helping hand as well, as Larry the Cable Guy and Toby Keith both giving exclusive performances to the people here at the event.
Well, let me just say, Christmas is getting a little politically incorrect. 2 years ago, my grandpa was a Walmart grader, and he got fired for saying Merry Christmas to a couple of women walking in there. Of course, it was August, and he wasn't wearing any pants. All right, so that might have had something to do with it. And in closing, I want to get Toby up here so he can sing. He's a lovely singer. That's how we first fell in love. He had me from his hello. I'm sorry, that was Chesney. Never mind, that was Chesney. That was a little thing we had back in the day.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here tonight for Coach Kruger and all the coaches versus cancer. And we're going to try to play y'all some country music. I can't believe that my opening act was wearing plaid. Brady was a baseball star. He struck out, took his car and drove away.
Well, what a weekend it has been. A lot of fun, but so much good coming out of it as the 7th annual Coaches vs. Cancer Las Vegas Golf Classic raised over $500,000 for the American Cancer Society in the fight against cancer. We hope you'll find ways to donate and give back to your local communities. Log on to acs.org to find all of the ways that you can do that. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Where they win or what they do, but you wonder, I know you wonder, where do they go? Hey, they come here.
The American Cancer Society would like to thank its generous supporters. Host sponsor MGM Grand Hotel and Casino, Nike, UPS, Top of the World, X's and O's of Success, and Suits and Sneakers Challenge.